folks, XFL Jim here to talk about week 2 of the Spring League. Let's get into it. So I want to start off this video by just telling you folks I'm not going to be covering the Spring League nearly as extensively as I covered the XFL. I'm kind of using this how the XFL should use it, as a scouting opportunity, just kind of like freshen up my skills. I'm kind of using it like practice, so to speak. Anyway, let's get into the games. Up at numero uno, we've got the Hughes taking on the Blues. Now, this was the game I was most excited about. I was glad it was on TV. It was the first game up, and I gotta say, it did not disappoint. It was exciting from the get-go. It was exciting throughout. A little bit of sloppy play here and there, but that's to be expected. But the Hughes come on top. My Hughes keep on winning, and now they're number 1 in the Spring League. Man, do I know how to pick them or what. So my main takeaways from this game: both teams look pretty good. These are my top 2 teams in the league so far. And the Generals are up there too. Those are probably the top 3. But these teams look good. Hughes look good. Blues look good. Both quarterbacks played pretty well. The Hughes just looked a little bit better. That offense is kind of clicking, and I like seeing that. Both QBs, I gotta say, both Shea Patterson and McLeod Bethel-Thompson, both had some really fun moments. They had some, dare I say it, PJ Walker-esque moments where they really showed what they could be capable of. And I think the XFL should give both these guys a shot. Honestly, of all the quarterbacks I've seen, 3 of them, maybe 4, probably deserve a shot. I would probably say Shea Patterson looks really good. McLeod Bethel-Thompson looks really good. JT Barrett looks really good. And Brian Scott looks really good. Point number 3, this was exciting. It almost, the fire of my spring football heart, it didn't burn, but it was like a little ember. Like the end of a Charmander's tail, like about that much flame going on. It's bringing something out of me, and I love it. It's getting me to chug Bud Light seltzers again. I'll tell you, I haven't been doing that in a minute. And my final point of the first game: the kicking left a little bit to be desired. Now, Sato, I was really hyping this guy up, and he comes into his first time on TV. I'm gonna chalk it up to TV jitters, because I don't think he's been on TV before. And he misses his first 2, but I'm glad at the very least, I was very happy he could redeem himself with the overtime football. And that's the other mention. This game went into overtime. It was super fun. This game had a little bit of everything. So, if you're not a fan of spring football, I'd watch... Well, if you're not a fan of spring football, get the fuck out of my face. But also, watch the XFL before you do anything. And then watch this game. This game is a good, introduction to the Spring League and what we're looking for as spring football fans. That's game number 1. Game number 2, you had the Alphas versus the Conquerors, and Alphas come away with the win. I was not thinking that was going to happen. Conquerors slowly falling down my list of teams. Especially JT Barrett looked fantastic in this game. I gotta say, really excited to see what I could see from these guys. My 4 points for this game are as follows. Number 1, JT Barrett looks like a stud. I don't know why he sat behind Cardale Jones at all, but especially now that Cardale has seen the Sonic movie, I don't expect to see him back in the XFL. I think we could just slide JT Barrett into the DC Defenders, and that can make them very exciting. I mean, Tyree Jackson's fantastic. I wish he would come back, but I don't know what's going to be going on there. I'd love to see JT Barrett, though. Point number 2, Alphas look better than I would give them credit for. I was not expecting very much out of this team. Honestly, all the teams look really... I was glad that week 2 had a lot of really competitive games, but the Alphas in particular look pretty strong. They might be inching their way to the top half of this league if they play their cards right. They're number 4 in my mind right now. Alphas 4, so I'll do my ratings at the end. Point number 3, this game was super chippy. You had an almost brawl in the middle of it. And then you had a little bit of chippiness at the beginning, a little bit at the end. It had everything you want in a football game in a garage. On a field, sometimes you don't want it to be as chippy, but in a garage, that's something that XFL Jim really likes to see. And my 4th point, the kicker for the Conquerors, even though they didn't win, that kicker is looking pretty lean, pretty mean. He's looking like a good kicking machine. He made a 53-yard field goal, and I just got to give him props for that. Conquerors, I don't know what's up with them, but they need something. They need some juice. They need some juice in them to juice them up or whatever. But Alphas, good job on you. Good job, JT Barrett. Probably my player of the week. 3rd game, we've got the Jousters versus the Generals. This game was closer than I ever expected it to be. I did not have high hopes for the Jousters. The Generals were probably my favorite, second favorite team to win the whole thing after the first week. But as I said last video, expect wild fluctuations in skill and play every week in this league because they don't really get that much practice. Anyway, Points of the game, because this was the only one that wasn't televised. Very competitive. Good job, Jousters. I like that you're keeping in it. This makes me really respect the Jousters. Point number 2. This is a very sloppy game in some respects. Each team was shooting themselves in the foot left and right. Jousters would march themselves down the field, friggin' make a mistake. Generals would march themselves down the field, make a mistake. Mistake after mistake after mistake. These teams just couldn't get over themselves. Point number 3, Brad Scott is my dude. The guy looks clean. He looks awesome out there. He's looking slick. I like his look. I like the look of his ball. This is my guy. Hughes, my team. Brad Scott, my guy. My last point for the Jousters. They talked about it. I don't know if there's any footage out there of it, but I'd love to see it. They did a fake spike. And even though it didn't work, I have to throw respect to that. To the coach for calling it, to Alex Hornibrook for doing it, and for the team for going for it. Fake spike all the way. That's a very uncoward mentality. Fucking Mark Trestman could learn a thing from these people. So, those are all the games for the Spring League Week 2. My standings so far: Hughes, Blues, Generals, Alphas, Conquerors, Jousters. That's how I'm going to do it. And my couple takeaways from the league: it's super competitive this week. Really like seeing that. I really like the teams that are like, it's making it more interesting to watch. I don't want any more of these blowouts. Maybe one here or there for the Hughes, but I'm not going to ask for too much. Another point away, these are fun games. These are sloppy games, but these are fun games to watch. And it looks to me like the players are having fun out there. I know there's some pressure on them. I know they want to get to the NFL. They want to get to the XFL. They want to get to those leagues that are a little bit, this is a promotional league. That's what it bills itself as. That's what it is. And there's that pressure is there, but I like to see that these players are kind of having fun with it. And it makes the viewing experience enjoyable to me. My last point, the kicking, at least in the last game, and at least in all the ones except for Sato, I mean, I feel for the guy, but the kicking is on point. There's been some bomb kickers here, and I hope they get a chance. I'm really rooting for him. I'm really rooting for Sato. I think he can make a week 3 comeback after the nerves have kind of set for him. Anyway, that's week 3 of the Spring League. I'm XFL Jim. You have yourself a ball. All right, with all the Spring League stuff, let's move on to the X League. They just had their second round of the tournament going on. Let's jump into it. Game number 1, it was the Fujitsu Frontiers versus IBM Big Blue. Fujitsu won 41-21. I expected this game to be a little bit more competitive. These were 2 of my top teams after week 1. But with these kind of leagues, you never know what's going to happen. And the teams will fluctuate rankings wildly week to week. My 4 takeaways from this game. I really thought IBM could hang with Fujitsu, but just Fujitsu is showing why they are my number 1 team in this whole tournament. The game was competitive going into half. The first half was a good game of football. It was good, it was competitive, it was nice. IBM was looking good, and then Fujitsu, second half, just lays the smack down on them. Doesn't give a fuck. That's why I like this team, folks. Point number 3, this Fujitsu defense, smothering, I would say. Like a good, they're like, imagine IBM is like sandwich bread. Fujitsu is the knife that is just covering it full of peanut butter and jelly. Smothering it, if you will. And my last point is IBM needs to clean up their offensive line play. Didn't look great, especially in that second half. Did not look great. That's something they're going to need to work on if they want to really make it in this tournament. That's my hope for them. That's game number 1. Game number 2. We got the Elecom Finis or Fines versus the Nojima Sagamihara. And this was an upset. Nojima actually came out and won this thing. This was the most competitive game of the weekend. Maybe of both leagues. I'm going to say this was probably the most competitive game. Nojima surprised me. I didn't think they had it in them to win this. I really was putting Elecom in a higher standing, and they just plummeted. They're almost probably my bottom team of the league now. So, the points for this game that I'm going to go through. Number 1, obviously, it's an upset, which I love seeing these upsets. I think both leagues had an upset, which is nice. I like seeing that week 2. Crazy shit can happen. Chaos ensues, and it's fun. Point number 2, teams like Elecom that I think Elecom might be better than Nojima, but for teams like Nojima, and I'll say this to them, and I'll say this to any team that's like on the lower rungs, if you could stick around in a game and just not ever be out of it, that will give you the opportunities you need. They had the opportunities, and they capitalized on them. Point number 3, Elcom did not impress really at all. They let Nojima stick around. They didn't look fantastic in really any aspect of the game. They didn't look great. And I'm a little disappointed in them. This is definitely dropping them out of my top 3. And my 4th point, big plays made the difference. Nojima made the big plays when it counted. When they had to, they would come through. And that is why Nojima Sagimahara is my team of the week. Or they would be if it wasn't for the 3rd game, which I'll get into right now. We've got the Hughes Seagulls taking on the Tokyo Gas Creators, winning 60-0. Now the Seagulls come in here, flapping their wings, spitting the fish water out at everybody, and they just dump all over fucking the Tokyo Gas Creators, who I am extremely disappointed in, by the way. Anyway, my points for this game are Seagulls coming out fucking hot, coming in smoking. They fucking see Fujitsu Frontiers. They probably watched my video, saw that I had them winning the whole thing, and they were like, what the fuck? I thought we were your favorite team. Well, we got to show you that we mean business, and they showed me. I don't know if they're still my number. I don't know if they're going to be my number 1, but they're definitely fucking showing off right now. Point number 2, the Tokyo Gas Creators are stalling. I don't know. They're out of gas or whatever's going on. They're just bad. They're not looking good at all. And I feel for them because I like this team. I like the name. I like the location. But they need to figure out something to get going. Point number 3, kind of relating to point number 2, this Gas Creators defense is bad. I'm just going to flat out say it's real bad. And I don't foresee it getting that much better. So hope their offense can actually make something happen. And point number 4, I'm very, very happy that the Hughes Seagulls come out this good. They come out looking this good. This team, it's going to make a very interesting tournament. I am hoping to see them in the finals. With all the games recapped, my rankings go Fujitsu Frontiers, Hughes Seagulls, IBM Big Blue, Nojima Sagimahara, Elcom Feenies, and Tokyo Gas Creators, all the way down at the bottom. My takeaways from X League round 2 of this tournament: it's basically a 3-horse race between Fujitsu, IBM, and Hughes. And honestly, if I'm being 100% honest, it's probably a 2-person race between Fujitsu and Hughes. I would love to see either of these teams in the finals. They're both really fun to watch. That's all I'm going to say about that. Point number 2 is Tokyo Gas Creators need to find something to get this car started. 2 weeks in, they're looking real out of sorts. They're looking really, really bad. Point number 3, I'm thinking maybe I'll be the one scouting, but the XFL should maybe take a look at a couple of these players, scout them out. Maybe you should give them another opportunity. Give them an opportunity in the best league in the goddamn world. Just give them a shot. There's some players on these teams that I think really deserve it. And I'm doing my scouting, so maybe the XFL should contact me. Give me a call. My line's open always for you. That's X League Week 2. That's Spring League Week 2. I'm XFL Jim. Enjoy yourselves, folks.